country's largest companies have dodged billions of dollars in taxes over just the past few years, thanks in large part to the 2017 tax cuts for the rich and for corporations. These were the tax cuts that Donald Trump accomplished during his term in office. Now, Trump slashed the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%, which is quite a lot. And he, of course, didn't get rid of any of the corporate tax loopholes or the deductions that these corporations get to take advantage of. As a result, their effective tax rate was much, much lower than 21%. So the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy analyzed corporate income taxes paid by 342 of the country's largest companies from 2018, so just after the 2017 tax cuts passed, to 2022. All of them were profitable, all 5 years covered by this analysis, but still using those loopholes and those special tax breaks, the 342 companies included in this study paid an average effective income tax rate of just 14.1% during this 5-year period, almost a third less than the statutory rate of 21%. And 109 of those companies, or nearly 1 out of every 3, found a way to pay zero federal income taxes in at least 1 year out of the 5. Those same 109 corporations scored $14.34 billion in federal tax rebates over the 5-year period. In other words, if you are an ordinary working American in this country, it is very likely that you have paid far more in taxes than some of the most profitable corporations in this country.
Yeah.
It's unfair. Let's put it that way.
So I'm gonna have to give commentary on it that you've, if you're a Young Turks viewer, you've seen before, which is this is the heart of the problem. And you know why this is happening. There is no country that has our system where they've legalized bribery. So you're allowed to give as much money as you want to politicians through their PACs. They've got super PACs, dark money PACs, etc. So these corporations just use lobbyists to funnel tens of millions and then collectively, literally billions of dollars to politicians. So that's how you get a negative 5.6% tax rate if you're a corporation. But if you're a human being, like in places like California, you can get up to 60%. So you have to pay unbelievable taxes, but they don't have to pay any at all. Why? Because you didn't bribe politicians and they did. And that's why I get so furious at our media, because that is what's driving all of these problems, and they never, ever, almost never talk about it. And I appreciate this excellent study to show you the facts behind it.
Well, it gets worse, so get ready.
We might have millions of people watching this show, but you can be the difference maker, because we just need 1% of our audience to be paid members, and then this show can be around forever. So you can make that difference. Click join now.
I just gave you the 109 corporations that didn't pay any taxes and actually got a rebate in at least one of those 5 years. But 23 corporations paid zero federal taxes over the entirety of that 5-year period that they analyzed as part of this report. So the tax subsidies received by corporations from 2018 through 2022, meaning the difference between 21% of their profits and what they actually paid during this period, came to $275 billion. And honestly, to add insult to injury, what's so frustrating about this is not only do they get all of these like special deductions and loopholes and benefits that allows for them, even in the case where they're profitable, to skirt having to pay anything in taxes. When it comes to ordinary working Americans paying their fair share of taxes, the money doesn't really seem to come back to them in a way that is beneficial. Right? There's never any debate when it comes to funding more wars. Right now, there's a little bit of it because you have Republicans, blocking the supplemental aid bill that Biden is asking for, which would send $60 billion additional dollars to Ukraine, 14 billion additional dollars to Israel, and provide some funding to the border. But that's mostly done due to their political calculations in an election year. In every other case, it's so easy for both parties to work together and pass increases to our defense budget or pass more funding for more wars. It's frustrating because I think you see more and more Americans get more and more frustrated as they are paying their taxes and not seeing their lives improve in any way.
And they think that both big business and big government are crooks. And when they say that, mainstream media yells at them and says that they're radicals and conspiracy theorists. But these guys do give billions of dollars to politicians, and politicians do exactly what they want, including lowering their taxes while increasing yours. So look, I wrote about this in Justice Coming. In a 5-year stretch, fairly recently, corporations spent, just 200 companies, the 200 companies that give the most to politicians spent $5.8 billion. Now, why do you think they're giving $5.8 billion? They're a company. They're doing it to make a profit. They're not doing it out of their health or, boy, we love the American people so much, we'd like to give their representatives money. Only an idiot reporter in DC would think that. So, and what do they get back? Those same 200 companies got $4.4 trillion back. So when you see this $275 billion they're getting back in tax breaks, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And then there's subsidies that we give them. There's monopoly power we give them. We start wars for them. We do everything is in favor of the corporations because we live under corporate rule. Corporations came up with a plan in 1971 to take over the country, which included taking over the Supreme Court so that they could legalize bribery. And that's exactly what they did. And that is why you hate taxes. And then ironically, they use your loathing of taxes because they take so much from you and use it as a justification to cut taxes for corporations.
And may we discuss the plight of the freelancer? Just for a second, okay? People who earn all of their income through freelance work. Man, if you don't find something to deduct from your 1099s, you are screwed. And I knew that it was difficult for freelancers. The entirety of last year, my husband worked as a freelancer. Oh my God, how do you guys do it, right? It's filing our taxes has been a complete and utter nightmare.
Yeah, no, that's because you and your husband are not corporations.
I know.
If
so
you were, you would have had a negative tax rate, and they would have given you money back.
I want to be a shell company so bad. How do I do it?
There probably is a way, but it involves giving campaign contributions.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.